Welcome back to NSC's weekly series Spotlight. The boys in gold earn a point away in Atlanta United, but this week they're back for 2 matches starting U.S. Open Cup, and Saturday they face Charlotte SC. Let's get started. Welcome back, guys. We have so many matches ahead in the month of May. But let's get started talking about Nashville SC as they took on Atlanta United, came back with a point. But let's talk about their performance. Would you say that the result accurately reflected their performance in this away match?
I think in certain ways, yes, in certain ways, no. I think the way in which that the game played out was a tale of two halves, for sure. Not just the way that the goals played out, but the boys in gold definitely owned the second half. First half was a little bit more even, but when you go back and you look at the statistics, it was a completely one-sided match. You look at passes, you look at possession, you look at passing accuracy, you look at shots on goal. Boys in gold completely dominated, and I think this is one of the games where footy can be very perplexing because you look at just the result, it doesn't necessarily tell how dominant statistically the boys in gold were.
Yeah, Nashville had over 70% of the possession in that second half, and I thought the way that they chased 3 points is something that BJ Callahan really thought was meaningful in this game. He spoke about that in the media after the game, saying, I really liked how we didn't rest on a point. It's one of those games you set out how many points you want from each match at the beginning of the season. You're always happy with a point on the road in MLS, especially in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But I think Nashville did a really good job just adjusting that midfield line a little bit higher, just allowing Eddie Tagseth and Patrick Jasbeck to be a bit more involved in the attack, kind of take away some of that separation between that front line and the midfield line. Jason Palacios, though, for me, was outstanding in this game. 6 ball recoveries. As the midfield line gets higher, so too does the defensive line. And you leave yourself vulnerable at the back. So many times Atlanta tried to pounce forward, and Palacios and Jack Mayer were right there to win the ball back and go again for Nashville. I thought Jason had his best performance as a boy in gold.
Yeah, and just to cap off the game, I mean, whenever you're talking about the defense, sometimes defense scores goals. Dan Lovitz is on 2 on the season. And for me, the way in which he's been able to get open but then convert on corner kicks has been very special. And then most of the time, them left backs, they don't have nothing for a right foot, but Lovitz is one of the left backs in the league that has a very proficient right foot, and it found 1 point for the boys.
How rare is it to see a defender lead in goal contributions?
It depends on the defender you're talking about. And then again, when you talk about Lovitz, he doesn't typically score a lot of goals. Assists heavy for him is nothing that we haven't seen before, but him already having 2 goals in the first 11 games is very special. But for me, I think he can continue to score more because he's poised to continue to get in these positions. But more importantly, with the boys in gold, one thing that we've been looking for is help for Hani, help for Sam, and we have that this year. Sam on 6, Hani on 4. You have 3 players on 2 goals. 2 of them are defenders, Josh and Lovitz, and of course you mix Kasem in there. You have a plethora of players hitting the back of the net. That's what continues to make you more and more indefensible.
Nashville on top of MLS as well with 6 goals scored by defenders this season. Is certainly something BJ Callahan wants in his system.
Let's talk about May. So the boys in gold are about to have 5 matches here at Geodis Park, which is awesome from a fan standpoint. I'll tell you from a front office standpoint, we're ready. We're ready for the mania. But to ask you as a previous player, what mental clarity do you have to have, and what obstacles are you prepping for this long stretch of matches?
First and foremost is recovery. Are you physically and able to be available for games week in, week out, whether it's 3 in a week, 2 in a week, or 1 in a week? Can you be available for the manager to select you? That's the first thing. Then from a mental standpoint, you have to be able to adjust with, am I in the starting lineup? Am I getting 10 minutes? Am I coming in at halftime? It doesn't really matter, but everybody has to change their perspective a little bit because sometimes you're going to have clear out-and-out starters in MLS that maybe are only getting 20 minutes with Open Cup, or maybe they don't dress at all. And then how does that all play into everybody having and continuing to perform under the next man up mentality?
I think it's a great opportunity right now as Nashville gets healthier. Brian Acosta has been back on the bench now for 2 straight games, his first 2 times being available for BJ Callahan. You talk about a guy like Matt Corcoran, who got his chance with 2 starts at the beginning of the season, has spent most of his time with Huntsville since then. Do we see Wyatt Meyer come back in, a guy that could play center back again, even though because of necessity, he was slotted into the 6th position for BJ Callahan early in the season. Josh Bauer has earned opportunities. We're talking about Johnny Perez, who I thought had a really good cameo at the weekend as well against Atlanta United. So BJ Callahan's got some tough decisions to make about who makes the 11-man roster, but also just the guys on the substitute bench. There is a really big challenge to just make this game day roster right now. A really good opportunity. I know Nashville really wants to take this competition seriously in the Open Cup, and Jalil, players want to play. They absolutely want to play. And in a month like this, yes, training gives you unique opportunities, but when those lights come on, different kind of challenge, a different kind of atmosphere.
And what I'm looking at when we talk about Nashville 2.0, it's not only the offense getting more robust, it's not just the midfield being more solid. A major part of Nashville 2.0 is having a lengthier roster that can contribute. We saw it at the beginning of the season when the boys needed to tap into more youthful exuberance, maybe due to injury or lack of availability. But now when you have a multitude of competitions, you also are now weaving that in. What does it look like? Can all of the guys contribute at the high clip that the MLS starters have really set out?
Well, Nashville SC has a Tennessee showdown as they take on Chattanooga Red Wolves SC. What are you expecting from this first match?
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of energy from both teams. I mean, for Chattanooga, this is a great stadium to play in. It's probably one of the biggest crowds that they will have played in, an excellent field. And a couple rounds ago, they knocked out their crosstown rivals in Chattanooga FC in what was an amazing match. And you're either red or blue in the city of Chattanooga, and the red side won it on that day. But looking forward to seeing who from Nashville takes advantage of their opportunity. And we saw guys last season in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, in the U.S. Open Cup, really raise their level to the stage. And BJ Callahan is going to be watching closely who takes this competition seriously, but who maybe gives him something to think about. Jonathan Perez is the guy that I'm really watching for most closely. As good as he was in a substitute appearance over the weekend at Atlanta, he was the first winger that BJ brought off the bench. And he played 2 games the weekend before. He played for Huntsville on Sunday after playing for Nashville on a Saturday against Chicago. So I think he's someone I really have my eye on this week.
Yeah, when it comes to these types of fixtures, from a first team standpoint, from experience, they're difficult. They're much more difficult than they look because you're going to have Chattanooga coming in, guns blazing, ready for this opportunity. So the first 15 minutes are always very crucial. So when the team sheet comes out, we'll see who's playing, who isn't, who is going to be tasked as maybe the leaders on the pitch. Those leaders need to make sure that the tempo is right, the intensity is right from a Nashville standpoint. And then if you're able to take care of those things, you earn the right to play. And if you take care of what you need to early on, typically the game can settle and lull off in your favor. But if you aren't up for the challenge early, you can find yourself in a situation where it could be very difficult.
Well, let's talk about Saturday's match. Charlotte FC comes here to Geodis Park. I'm calling this the revenge match because earlier on in April, Nashville SC fell short to Charlotte FC. What can NSC do to exploit Charlotte FC?
I think for me, help out your back line against the center forward. Patrick Agyemang provides some very unique challenges, and just his ability to play back to goal and distribute to the wingers. I mean, Wilfred Zaha, we've talked so much about him as one of the most talented players, but Liel Abada is a guy that does not get enough praise within that team because Zaha is on the other side. So I think that's certainly someone you have to watch for. But for me, it's just helping out Jason Palacios, Jack Mayer, whoever is the center back pairing. Those two are really creating a good chemistry right now. Playing a big, strong forward like that is a difficult challenge.
You have to protect the space in behind you. That is it, full stop from a defensive standpoint. You can't let Charlotte exploit the space, so if the line is too high with no pressure on the ball, you're going to be in trouble. If you drop the line off in a very effective way, you're going to have the ability to keep everything in front of you, and that is where typically Charlotte finds trouble to hit the back of the net. So for me, it's going to be about making sure you recognize the space in behind. And then, of course, using the home crowd to your advantage because Charlotte, they've been playing very well. They don't just rely on either the counter, they don't just rely on that space in behind because they can play intricately in front of you, but if you're going to take one thing off the table from them, it has to be the space in behind.
All right, well, that's a wrap of today's episode. We hope to see you here at Geodis Park. Thanks for watching Spotlight. You can catch the boys in gold as they enter the U.S. Open Cup versus Chattanooga Red Wolves SC this Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can catch all the live action on Paramount+. This Saturday, the boys in gold take on Charlotte FC here at Geodis Park. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. If you can't make it here, you can watch it on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV or tune in with our friends on 104.5 The Zone. Thanks for watching Spotlight.